This is Dungeons & Dragons Avengers theme to Avengers Academy. So a brief recap, kind of a history lesson of this world. Years ago, a group of superpowered individuals drew a line in the sand. Tired of hiding their abilities, being forced to protect those who hated them, or being subjugated because of their actions, they sought to fight back. The villain turned hero, Scarlet Witch, was co-opted and forced to do unspeakable things. And this all happened while you were still alive. You were all young at this point, so you're the first generation coming up in this new world. When this happened, celestial beings of the universe, appalled at this action, gave Wanda Maximoff one moment to break free. She screamed, and an energy surge was felt across the planes of existence. That wave of destruction had unspeakable consequences. Landscapes were shifted. People disappeared like they never existed in the first place. Gods fell, and humanity ground to a halt. In the years that followed, people adjusted. Populations flocked to large cities to maintain the civilization they once held dear. The expanses between these large cities grew barren, almost uninhabitable, and dangerous. Some heroes continued to fight for the little guy and protection for all from the new dangers that rose in the darkness. Some used the event to seize power, marginalize others, and embrace villainy. All of you grew up in this world hearing stories of heroes and villains. With powers and abilities like yours, someday you too might be worthy. So, today, on a secure island in the middle of the ocean, untraceable by scanning equipment and invisible to the naked eye, lies an enormous campus. The buildings are a strange juxtaposition of elaborate Grecian architecture and sleek modern influence. The grounds are beautiful and well manicured. The biggest building of them looks like an ancient Parthenon. Enormous white pillars hold up a marble roof with panes of glass nestled between each column. Scattered around the small island are buildings, a tranquil garden, and several bronze statues dotted along the rim. Spread out before the Parthenon building is an ornate grassy field with a fountain in the center and a series of walkways shaped like the letter A. As you all approach this area in different vehicles of sorts from different directions, you have a way to see this island. It looks a little something like this. First, speeding through the air in a sleek jet, a mystic being tosses an obsidian sickle back and forth. Marcy, would you like to describe your character?
Yeah. Okay, so Marcy is an Asgardian. She's tall, she has dyed red hair, and then dyed red black tips, because red wasn't enough. She adores Hela and wants to be her Valkyrie. She is... she likes to pretend and come off as being this confident, kind of like badass type, you know, like Hela and all that. But on the inside, she's kind of a nerd and a little bit dorky. So that's a little bit about Marcy.
Great. So, you're sitting in your jet, and the jet arrives, and the engines swivel to do a vertical descent onto the southwest corner of the island, landing right about there. As you land, the blue-haired pilot turns around. Students are gathering by the fountain, up the path. You can't miss it. So, you get off the plane. She calls out, "Oh, hey, welcome to school." When you get clear of the plane, it lifts off and flies slowly north. What would you like to do?
I call back at the cool blue-haired lady, "Thanks!" And then she tries to, like, catch her balance because she has terrible motion sickness. And she's, like, really trying not to puke. And she, like, pinches herself a little. She's, like, being badass. And as she decides to lay down in the grass. And she's like, I wonder how she got her hair so blue.
Make a Constitution check.
Oh, no. That's a 2.
Go ahead and add your Constitution.
+1. I got a 3.
So you throw up a little bit.
Yeah. Do I gracefully swallow it, or do I just?
You rolled a 3. It's on the ground.
Okay.
But luckily you're the first one there, so you can blame it on somebody else. Great. And then presumably you head up to the field where she told you, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Write that in.
Yeah. Stumbling.
Great. Stumbling in. Great. So, circling over the island, A figure leans out of a helicopter to get a better view of the island. Hey, newbie, sit down before you fall out. This is only my third time flying one of these stupid things. As if on cue, the copter lifts to the side, and an archer pulls himself back inside the craft. August Ryan, would you like to describe your character?
Yeah, so August Ryan. He comes from a family that used to work for the government. His father was in the CIA, and his mom just was like a nice politician. But they got divorced after his father decided to do some mercenary work that was in the political opposition of his mom. But he learned any like wilderness like survival techniques from his father and combat techniques from his dad. He's a little bit angsty, but he keeps to himself. He has tattoos on his temples. He has like a shaved side of his head with braids, and it's up in a ponytail. He has a very thick beard. And he's very much reclusive.
Nice. Luckily, you survive the experience. The helicopter eases down and lands with minimal jarring. You emerge from the craft quite readily. The helipad overlooks a little bay on the southeast corner of the island, so you land right about here with the helicopter. As the helicopter lifts back off, you hear a voice in your head, even though you shouldn't be able to hear anything over the whir of the blades. As the pilot says, "Oh yeah, boss man says for you to head to the fountain." As the craft swivels around, you see the pilot pointing behind you at a ladder that leads down to the ground. What would you like to do?
I'd like to just like shout back at the helicopter guy that I'll get there eventually, right? Just being a little bit like smart alecky about it.
He can actually hear you, and he says, I think it, dumbass, and flies away.
I kind of kick myself because he got the last word in. And then I kind of just mosey my way to where I'm supposed to go.
So you are going to make an athletics or acrobatics check to slide down this ladder.
Oh, okay. This is a 9.
And add your dexterity.
12.
You do like the cool thing in video games where like you just like jump, grab on, like your feet are on the outside of the ladder, and you just go
Yes.
right to the bottom.
Sweet.
Nice. And then do you head to the fountain like
Yeah.
your pilot told you? Excellent.
Watch.
Nobody's watching. Next, you see a high-tech hovercraft speeding across the water and approaching the island. A heads-up display on the front of the boat allows a bird's-eye view, just like this, to the armored figure standing before it. Leon, would you like to describe your character?
Yeah, so Leon originally comes from what was being described as just the most ordinary suburban kid life that you could have. The problem was that the town that he lived in was actually a front for what was an underground experimentation facility. No one knows who owned it or why, but it was experimenting with stolen vibranium. And then one day, that all went awry, and he was just in the right position to be very briefly briefly exposed to a massive power failure, explosion. You know, everything goes wrong, and he was exposed for just a brief second to this vibranium-based explosion that pretty much put him at the attention of anyone who realized he is the only one who survived. And ever since then, his life was completely different, and everyone only wanted him for the power that he had. And because of that, he just went from being very happy and zest about life to being very quiet. It's been very reserved. And that's Leon.
There's Leon. The driver calls out to you from above deck. You should probably hold on. She guides the hovercraft with one hand as the other embiggens to an enormous size and aids the ship lifting onto a metal runway. Actually, the same runway that Marcy lifted on. So Leon ends up over here as well.
If you don't ask about the phone.
Hopefully.
I
Anyway,
was going to say, that vommit's not
first-
mine. It was there when I got there.
First, you are going to make a dexterity saving throw.
17.
Then you can add your dexterity to it, which is pretty good.
Yeah, so 21.
As she pulls like the hovercraft up, you jump and tuck and roll to your feet and see a redheaded chick laying on the ground. trying not to make it so no one can see what you just did. So the pilot uses her enormous hand to point towards the Parthenon. Head up that way. What do you do?
I just give a very dry, sarcastic, Leon gives a very dry, sarcastic thumbs up and a white people smile to the driver before heading off. Well, before turning around to go to the fountain, looks down and realizes there's vomit right at his feet. Sees someone trying to cover it up, rolls his eyes, and keeps walking.
That was there when I got here. I don't know. That's gross, right? Let's go.
Make a deception check.
14.
She's pretty convincing. You make a perception check against hers.
13. It goes under.
No.
Perception. 13. 17.
No.
500. Yeah.
You think maybe she's right, but it's very unlikely. But you can continue going up to the
Well, he gives her the benefit of the doubt and doesn't care either way.
Wow, cool.
So, a craft breaks the surface of the water as a bullet-like submersible breaches. On a screen below deck, an interactive screen shows the map of the island. Sitting on a couch nearby is Zero. Would you like to describe your character?
I mean, we're going to tell you about Zero. He was part of a now defunct Weapon X facility who was actually trying to preserve powered humans and powered people. They were actually finding a way to preserve mutations because like some of them are winding down. But things went wrong in one of his assignments. He was kind of the only one of his peers that didn't have powers, so he built his own armor to try and stay in touch with them, be able to essentially compete. Something happens in that mission, and he's deemed dangerous, so he's put to rest, telling him that he's gonna actually be able to go into the past to prevent what happens with Scarlet Witch when they're trying to contain him. And he wakes up many years later. He has no idea what's happened because he thinks it's in the past, but it's actually in the future. And he's found by someone who has links to Avenger Academy, and he tells him, hey, I think I've got a place for you where you can make something out of this. Yeah.
So now he's making his way towards his new life. And a submarine, now on the surface, pulls through a protected inlet at the southeast of the island. So you pull in right over there.
Oh no, I broke it.
As you pull towards the dock, iron bars lower to seal the bay. The submarine grazes the dock a little too much as the ship lurches to the side. The screen cuts out and bookshelves fall on you, causing you 1 point of bludgeoning damage.
Great.
The door bursts open, and a very scared, gold-skinned hero enters the room. Sorry about that. Thought I had a little more space. He offers you a hand to help stand, and a warm feeling spreads through you, healing you. Let's head outside and see how bad the damage is. You exit the sub and see the ship is fine, but the dock is a little mangled. Go ahead and make an athletic check.
Mine's 1 to 17.
You deftly jump from the submarine. You get a little boost with your armor. Clearing the dock, you don't get any splinters, no damage at all. You look back, and the pilot was kind of impressed. So, nice. Head up to the fountain. I'll see if I can fix this. What do you do?
I'm starting to have second thoughts about my decision of coming here. Honestly, way better than these people are, and I don't think I can learn anything from them.
Make an insight check.
A what?
Insight.
It was a 10.
It's a 10 plus 3, 13.
Maybe piloting isn't this kid's skill. It's probably something else.
Okay.
Everyone's just coming on the same day. He's busy. On the western side of the island, there's an outdoor, sand, gladiator-style combat arena. At the moment, it swirls with dark energy. With a flash, a dimensional door shakes the air, and two figures appear. One of them falls to his knees, overcome with the use of dark magic. Doesn't exactly agree with him at the moment. Mitchell, would you like to describe your character?
Sure. So my character is Mitchell Maziel. He's not exactly of this earth, or this world. He is an angel who was in the heavens for many years, but has been since cast out. They cut his wings from his back and shoved him out, with which he landed on Earth on his right side, which kind of took all of his armor on his right side and cracked it up and kind of lost its golden glow, and now it's dark and seems to be swirling with a different type of energy that he's not used to. He lived in one of the rural areas for a long time here, trying to just find any meaning to this life after he'd been cast out, and ended up hearing a bunch of people talking about the Avengers and how they had saved this world before, until he heard about Thor, who was supposedly a god on Earth. So he made it his mission to find this Thor and find his way back to the heavens.
And oddly enough, your eyes drift to a golden statue of Thor standing along the rim of the island as a dark-skinned mage offers you a hand. My apologies. Over long ranges, my magic is unpredictable. Traveling through the arcane barrier on the island often has odd consequences. His eyes start to roll back as he speaks. Make a strength check.
7 and 0.
You manage to catch him. Like, he slumps onto you a little bit, but you stand him, you keep him from falling, which is very nice for your very first day. It may be best if you head to the courtyard. The boss wishes to see the new recruits. He points over behind your shoulder to the center of the island. What would you like to do?
At first, I just try to feel the island's energy and perceive what's going on, and I get like an odd feeling coming from the lower west side of the island.
So much anxiety.
But I don't know exactly what it is.
Make an Arcana check.
Would I add anything to it?
Yeah, Arcana is one of the skills that's in that little series.
Okay.
I think it's tied to Wisdom.
Oh, this one. Intelligence. So 18 plus 1 is 19.
There's definitely something sort of mystical. There's a lot of different energies kind of coming together to form this island. You sense that most of them are protective in nature. Would you like to head to the center fountain?
Yes.
Excellent. So,
Actually, I want to head to Thor first.
go for it. Make an investigation check.
7. And 20.
Investigation's like in the middle, right above medicine.
I think he has a different sheet.
Yeah.
So investigation is
Same
going to be
papers.
one of those two.
Because we all did.
Okay, intelligence. So 8.
It's different.
You go over to the statue. It's this big bronze statue of Thor. It's almost intimidating to look at. So as you start to walk over, you get a nice glance. You see the statue. Right at the base of it, you see sitting on the pedestal is Mjolnir. Oh, hey kid, let's back up this way. And your transportation ushers you up towards the building.
Awesome.
So
Guess I'll do what I'm told from
it's the first day.
Orientation.
Exactly. I'll take this from you guys because it's all going to change. So, as you all enter the courtyard, you see a figure standing outside the Parthenon building, wearing yellow spandex. Hey, bubs. Everyone made it in one piece. You're all here because you got potential. I've been on more superhero teams than just about anybody else, except maybe Deadpool. Look around. He gestures to the various statues in the grounds, one of which has been explored. I've fought alongside some of the best heroes and people that this world has ever known. Here, you'll learn skills that'll keep you alive, help you make the tough calls, and keep you breathing for as long as possible. I'm the best there is at what I do. What I do now is teach. Welcome to the Avengers Academy. August. You see the helicopter pilot flying down, suspending himself in the air. Laying it on thick, aren't you, Wolvie? Shut it, choir. Everyone make a perception check.
I don't have it. 18.
5.
9.
10.
25.
Okay, so most of you notice Wolverine kind of give a dirty look to Quentin and then kind of smile. It's very subtle. He doesn't like Quentin knowing that he likes him. I've had a mess of names in the past. Call me Professor Logan on the island and Wolverine in the field. Let me introduce your instructors. You see, standing at Wolverine's right hand is the blue-haired pilot. So, my second in command, Professor Ishida, or Surge. Surge waves a bulky metal gauntlet on her arm. Yeah, call me Nico. Our specialist in weird stuff and mystic mumbo jumbo. Mitchell, you recognize the man who teleported you here? Professor Drum, or Dr. Voodoo, right? Professor Drum or Voodoo is fine. He grips a gnarled staff in his hand, still looking shaken from transporting Mitchell. Next up, someone Leon will recognize. Professor Khan, Miss Marvel. She bows her head. Lastly, Professor Foley, Elixir. Josh is fine, guys. If you ever need patched up, I'll be in the med bay, just across from your dorms. As far as my submarine is possible. Lastly, this jackass, he shoots a thumb over his shoulder at the pink-haired helicopter pilot in cut-off shorts, a blazer, and a t-shirt for the band of the Mary Janes. Quentin Quire, Phoenix host, Omega-level mutant, remarkable telepath, telekinetic specialist, revolutionary, and you hear Surge chime in, mediocre helicopter pilot. He flashes her an annoyed but understanding smirk. Call me Omega. Everyone make an insight check.
20.
18.
8.
23.
Yeah, nobody calls this guy Omega. He's actually a lot more useful than you might think. Quentin turns. Thank you. What? You can count on every person standing before you and everyone inside the building behind me. The Agora. Inside, some of the most intricate equipment and high-tech whatevers that I can't begin to understand. But it tells us when people need help. And that's where you come in. You are our newest team of Avengers. You'll be moving into our student dorms shortly. First things first. He pulls a beer from behind his back and cracks it open. We get to watch you prove yourself. Everyone make a perception check.
Hey.
9.
8.
9, 8,
8.
8.
19.
You're rolling
Oh no, he got 20 because he got the Avengers.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Avengers
I thought you said
6.
8.
No, my bad. Avengers
All right.
logo.
Oh,
20.
that's funny.
So some of you see the benches in the corners of the courtyard open up as turrets appear, and hatches on the fountain do the same, and you see Ultron drones coming up from underneath the surface of the ground. You take out the Ultron bots, I'll be impressed. Roll for initiative. I'm Matt, the Dungeon Master. Thank you for listening and watching Avengers Academy. Now as our campaign progresses, so too does our ability to edit and record audio. So if you like what you hear, things only improve from here. Till then, Avengers, assemble.